General Motors and the Ford Motor Company were two of America's businesses most responsible for the accelerated prosperity of the middle class. By the introduction of the assembly line and a fair wage, Henry Ford revolutionized manufacturing and empowered millions of American citizens. Now, over 100 years later, this dream is becoming a nightmare for Americans and Detroiters alike. This is not the first time that a government has perpetuated such destructive policies to the detriment of American companies. George III of England tried it. He failed. Why? Let's talk about tea. On May 10, 1773, the British Parliament authorized the East India Company, which faced bankruptcy due to corruption and mismanagement, to export 500,000 pounds of tea to the American colonies for the purpose of selling it without imposing upon the company the usual duties and tariffs. The Dartmouth, the Eleanor, and the Beaver sailed into Boston Harbor from November 28 to December 8, 1773. Demanding that their tea be returned to where it came from, or face retribution, the Sons of Liberty, led by Samuel Adams, began to meet at the Old South Meeting House to determine the fate of the 3 cargo ships in the Boston Harbor. On December 16th, on a cold and clear day, thousands of spectators watched in silence. Only the sounds of axe blades splitting wood rang out from Boston Harbor. Once the crates were open, the Patriots dumped the tea into the sea. By 9 o'clock p.m., the Sons of Liberty had emptied a total of 342 crates of tea into the harbor. Fearing any connection to their treasonous deed, the Patriots took off their shoes and shook them overboard. They swept the ship's decks and made each ship's first mate attest that only the tea was damaged. These men were Paul Revere and 150 others with axes. What is the current day tea? America is no longer reliant on tea as a staple of her diet. We now drink more coffee than tea. No, the most important product for American manufacturing and more recently local merchants is the automobile. 35 Chrysler dealers in Michigan alone and over 900 nationwide are being forced to close. The number of General Motors dealerships being closed in Michigan is not being released by the company, but over 2,000 or more are being closed nationwide. The chairman of General Motors, Rick Wagoner, refused to play ball on bankruptcy and has been replaced by the Obama administration, so that now General Motors is effectively federal property. Chrysler's chairman is stepping down and will be replaced by an Obama appointee. For the first time since pre-Bolshevik Russia, political officers will be placed in positions of power in the boardrooms of private businesses. Once the draconian corporate average fuel economy standards, CAFE, are implemented, the remaining American car company, Ford, will be forced to adhere to the dictates of the federal government or face extinction. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, and Jennifer Granholm are peddling tea in the form of government-owned, government-run, government-financed, and soon-to-be foreign-built automobiles. These politicians are willing to undercut the Ford Motor Company, which is a private entity, in order to prop up the government-run automobile industry. We will soon be faced with the only option available to us, and that is to buy Chinese cars labeled as General Motors or Chrysler cars, and we will be told that it is patriotic to do so. This is so much British tea. Now is the time for Americans to be Americans and to stand up for ourselves and the rights of our fellow citizens. We cannot stay on the sidelines, for this is a fulcrum of history for our country. We must not allow the punitive and overbearingly tyrannical directives from our government to be an anchor around our collective necks. We must use the power of assembly, of speech, of the redress of grievances, and ultimately the voting booth. Only then can we recapture the greatness that is America. Today is the day for all of us to celebrate our own Tea Party. On April 15, 2009, hundreds of thousands of like-minded Americans came together all across this country with one purpose: to hold our elected officials to account and to reclaim our right to sovereignty over our own finances and to remove the tyranny of punitive and arbitrary taxation. As we leave today, let us remember one thing: together we can accomplish anything. Together. God bless America.